Welcome back to another episode of 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. We open today in Australia, where 2 recent crimes have raised questions about anti-Semitism and the country's relations with Israel. From BBC, quote, Australian police have launched an investigation after a car was set alight and houses were vandalized with anti-Israel graffiti in Sydney. The incident has been condemned by the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, as a hate crime. He told ABC News, quote, there's no place for anti-Semitism in this country or anywhere for that matter, end quote. It comes days after a fire engulfed a synagogue in Melbourne, causing minor injuries to one man in what police there are treating as a probable terror attack, end quote. Though many Jews in Australia are outraged, members of the Jewish population have been quoted saying, quote, we will not be cowed. Coming to Europe, where the Serbian president, Alexander Vučić, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, has vowed to engage in a dialogue with protesters as they have overtaken multiple cities across the country. From Reuters, quote, the concrete awning of a recently renovated roof of a railway station in the northern city of Novi Sad caved in on November 1st, killing 14 people and injuring 3. One of those hurt later died of their injuries. Following the disaster, opposition parties, students, and the public took to the streets, blaming the accident on the government corruption, negligence, and nepotism that resulted in shoddy construction. Students' demands included publication of all documents related to the reconstruction of the station and release of arrested protesters, end quote. As of now, it looks as though Vučić is complying and will release all the relevant information and has pledged to pardon any of the people that were arrested. Next, to South America, where Brazilian President Lula da Silva's medical scare on Monday of this week has been resolved. From BBC, quote, an MRI scan revealed the bleed and Lula was transferred to the renowned Sírio-Libanês hospital in São Paulo to have it drained. The intracranial hemorrhage was caused by a blow to the head he sustained when he fell in his bathroom at the presidential residence in October, according to the hospital statement. Doctors said they had performed a craniotomy on the president, a procedure in which part of the bone is surgically removed from the skull to treat the bleed and relieve the pressure. The bone is then replaced, end quote. Drifting across the Atlantic to Africa, where the arrest of multiple mining company employees in Mali and threat from other states in the region to void French mining permits has led to trepidation in the markets. From Reuters, quote, the escalation is expected, however, to hit firms seeking finance and insurance, curbing supply growth in Africa's engine of gold output. More than a dozen people, including mining employees, financiers, insurance providers, and government sources, told Reuters. Burkina Faso and Niger's military governments are to renegotiate the terms with the mining companies and gain a bigger share of the revenues, though this has coincided with a surge in gold and uranium prices. It has also followed a series of coups, starting with Mali in 2020, end quote. Next, we shift our focus to Haiti, where a campaign of terror and slaughter was carried out against the local population of Port-au-Prince. From BBC, at least 110 mostly elderly people have been brutally murdered by the gang members in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, according to a human rights group. The National Human Rights Defense Network said a local gang leader had targeted them after his son fell ill and subsequently died. The gang leader reportedly consulted a voodoo priest who blamed elderly locals practicing quote-unquote witchcraft for the boy's mystery illness. The United Nations said the number of people killed in Haiti so far this year in spiraling gang violence had reached a staggering 5,000 people. Rights groups said the man who had ordered the killings was Manuel Felix, also known as Minkau. All right, with that, we'll move on to our final story, which is coming out of Asia in South Korea. We actually return to this story, but from a little bit of a different angle. Quote from Reuters, Southern Korean police tried to search President Yoon Suk-yeol's office on Wednesday, but have not been able to enter the main building. Yonhap News reported as an investigation into the U.S. allies' decision to declare martial law widened. The attempt to search the presidential office significantly escalates the investigation against Yoon and top police and military officials over the December 3rd martial law declaration. Yoon is now the subject of a criminal investigation into insurrection allegations and is banned banned from leaving the country, end quote. And if you want to read any of these stories in their entirety, you can go down to the links below that like and subscribe button. You can find all of them, as well as the links to the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podvine. If you want to listen to U.S.-centered news, it's maybe 30 minutes long, depending on the day. That will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the same Spotify links and over here at the YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to the Twitter tirade, that is posted solely at the Twitter handle at your daily flip. It's a little bit more relaxed, less scripted, and just kind of off the top of the head. So with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.